Guys, gals, non-binary pals. Synja, patrol bot from The Last Ronin. I found this on the shelf at a Best Buy. And I know this is Best Buy exclusive, but I didn't know it would actually be in the store. I thought it maybe just be online only, and I did not buy it online because my main line right now is the Mirage Ninja Turtles. If you watch the channel, obviously you know that. Favorite line of all time. Amazing, crazy. But I do love The Last Ronin. And the unboxing of the original Last Ronin figure, the armored figure, was actually the first video I ever did that got even close. It got over 1,000 views, almost 2,000 views at this point. But like, that's unheard of for me. So someone who's nobody. So this line does seem like it's going to be pretty popular, and it's got a special place in my heart because it's the first video I did, like I said, that, you know, people watched. However, having said all that, due to budgetary reasons, I was not going to go all in on this line. I definitely like it. I've read the comic book, and like I do with all my other videos, I want to just do more than talk about the figure. So we're going to go over the comic book a little more, meaning, you know, the Synja patrol bot in the comic book as we look at the figure. Probably not going to go all in on the line, but this figure honestly looked super cool when they first announced it. Super cool. I know they recently announced a white version of this pretty soon. I don't know when. I don't know if it's still a Best Buy exclusive or anything. But anyways, let's stay on topic. Synja patrol bot, Last Ronin. Amazing futuristic story of the Last Ronin. I was very careful in the first video, the armored Last Ronin figure, not to reveal his identity. But if you've read the story, you know his identity by now, I hope. Because you should read the story, it's pretty amazing. So obviously we're going to start with the box, just like most NECA packaging. Obviously you have some comic art on the front. It matches the sort of gritty style of the comic book. Synja patrol bot down below. And of course it does have a window if you open it up. So there's, let's see if I can center that. So there he is in all of his glory. Full action shot right there, which looks really cool. I'll try to get it with no glare. Full action shot, looks really cool. And I mean, I love the stylings of the bodies in the head. So I think I'm going to be pretty happy with this figure. And that's why when I saw it on the shelf, there was only one on the shelf, and it was like, okay, I'm not all in on this line, but I have to get this figure. This is too cool looking. So obviously I got it. All right, first side, you got some more of the Last Ronin, you know, comic art. Synja patrol bot, number 6 in the line. You have more of the art on this side. I'm not sure if this is original art. I don't think it's from the comic book, so it might be original art, which is pretty cool if it is, for sure. I definitely like the style. And then on the back, you have obviously the action shots, looking over the different heads, you know, some of the accessories, the broken head, and then a little, you know, synopsis of The Last Ronin down here to wet your whistle if you haven't read it. All right, we'll talk more about the figure once I get it out of the box. So first steps first, let's get it out of the box. Alright, Synja patrol bot outside of the box, and you might be wondering why they're even called Synjas. Well, Synja actually stands for Synthetic Ninja. So these are essentially the Foot Clan in, you know, the Last Ronin future. The Foot Clan is sort of, you know, not necessarily a thing anymore. These are the guys that are like cybernetic, you know, robot cops, I guess, that patrol the streets and, you know, do dirty deeds. And, you know, it's a dystopian future, obviously. It's a, you know, fascist future. And these are the stormtroopers of that day and age. And when they first come into the comic, most people actually do think they're robots. And it's only after The Last Ronin beats some up and, like, you know, destroys some. This head, this broken off, you know, accessory head. I know I'm jumping to the accessories rather quick today. But this broken off accessory head, this is when it's first sort of revealed that, hey, you know, the populace, not just the Last Ronin, populace actually see a human inside, and they're like, you know, oh my gosh, there's, you know, part humans in there. How much is human? How much is synthetic? And, you know, all the baggage, obviously, that comes along with that, you know, the morality of doing something like that. It all, you know, comes to head when, you know, the Last Ronin starts taking them out, and people can see that, hey, there's humans under there. It's not just a robot. So how much of these guys is synthetic and how much is human? That is the question. And so obviously I've compared, you know, the sculpt work and the design of this figure with the actual images on the screen, and it matches so well. I'll put some shots up here too of actually the initial design of this character. Some of the Last Ronin trade paperbacks or the director's cuts actually have some design notes from when they were like designing the Synjas, and it definitely looks different than this final version that actually made it into the comic book. But it's super interesting, right? So, you know, I'll put it on the screen so, you know, people can see it or whatever. But, you know, going back to the sort of sculpt work and the design, the sculpt work on this figure is very, very angular. It's very pointy. Nothing is very smooth. And I'm not saying that as a negative. I think it looks phenomenal. This looks so good, like a sort of, you know, synthetic, like robot ninja. And he definitely fits the aesthetic of the comic book for sure. So let's go over some of the sculpt work first, obviously. So like I said, it's very angular. It's very, you know, hard plastic everywhere. And it's definitely got that robot, you know, feel to it. Or synthetic, cyborg. I don't know what you want to call these guys. I'll call them synthetic. And so I really like the design in the comic book for sure. You know, for a synthetic sort of foot soldier army or so in the future. And, you know, I think NECA did an amazing job on the sculpt work here, especially, you know, a lot of work on the back too, like the spine going down there. It does have a little gap there depending on, you know, his articulation and how you're going to stand him up. But when, you know, you put it back like that, it looks really good going all down there like that. You know, the cross hatching all over his chest right here. There's some of his shoulder pads, obviously in all the, you know, robotic grooves. Even his butt crack is shaded. There's obviously nothing negative I can say about the sculpt work. The sculpt work is amazing. We'll go over the paint job next. The paint job, obviously it matches the comic book pretty well. With the blue, it's got a little bit of a, you know, grayish blue, I guess, for the middle part right here, which is soft plastic, if you see that. So it doesn't impair movement. That's soft plastic right there. He's got the metallic, you know, silver shoulder pads, visor on here. He does come with another head. The other head has a red visor, and this is the look they mostly have in the comic book, but they do have this one occasionally too. So they're definitely both in the comic books. Mainly when they have this red visor, they don't have these antennas poking up though. So I don't know. I'm sure they're in the comic book somewhere, but they typically don't have these antennas on there. If you can get a good look at his inner arm right here, that's all. The sculpt work is pretty amazing. All the wires in there are all textured. So even small details like that, again by NECA, look pretty amazing. This shoulder pad is softer plastic. It's not super soft, but it is softer to try and maybe not to hinder movement a little bit. So, you know, it can move depending on what you're going to do with it. And it definitely looks great on there. I would just obviously be careful with it. But, you know, since it's softer plastic, it won't hinder movement too much. Obviously, you're not going to get, you know, there's no butterfly joint or anything, so you're not going to get this huge movement out of the shoulders right here. But the other articulation on the body is pretty amazing. So let's start with the head. Obviously, the head has got a ball joint in there, so that's fully articulated. He can look up really good. He can look down really good. The neck is also articulated too, so the neck can turn and go up and down in addition to the head, if that makes sense. So there's a lot of movement head-wise because the neck can move too, which is really good. Arm goes up to about there. He does have that shoulder pad that does semi, you know, restrict movement just a little bit. Can go all the way around. Bicep swivel right there. So bicep swivel. Elbows, there's only single elbows. So keep that in mind that's, you know, that's the most movement you'll get out of the arm. The hands go forward and backwards. Articulation at the waist, he does have a joint right there and another one. So a swivel right here at the hips, and then, you know, the upper chest too can go around. There's probably a ball joint in there of some sort. So you can definitely get some cool, you know, definitely some extreme like turning poses with his chest area. His legs move really good. He's got a lot of movement for a ninja type figure, which is what they need, right? It's a ninja. So the leg can go almost straight all the way up right there, almost straight all the way out. It's got a huge joint right there. There's a lot of movement, and that's one of the things I've heard about this figure so far, is people are really happy with the movement of it. You can get some cool poses. He is, they are an agile, cyborg synthetic ninja, so they do need to move a little bit. Going down to the legs, you do have double knees. My legs were super tight in, typical NECA style, but I loosened them up a little bit. I did scrape a little bit of the paint off. They do, remember, NECA does paint their joints. So this joint right there, I got a little bit of the paint scraped off. This one, not so much. So, that's a thing. It is a thing, you know what I mean? So, double knees. I love the sculpt cut right here. Obviously, it's not articulation, but I don't know. Visually, the sculpt in the cut on the leg matches the comic book super well, and it looks super good. I love it. Does have a gun holster right here too. Right, going down to the feet, there is a lot of movement. You can go back, you can go forward quite a lot. Why are you focusing on the back leg, Cam? Jeez. So I go forward quite a lot. There is a little bit of rock, and you can definitely, roll it over into different, sides. The feet should be able to do whatever you need to do. There is no toe articulation. That's maybe the only, weird thing about it. I don't think it's weird, but, there's no toe articulation. They've been doing that. NECA's been doing that on most of the ninjas. Like, the ultimate foot soldier for Mirage and all that good stuff. So there is no toe articulation, no toesies. Let's just take a peek at the back again too, because the sculpt work is so good. Like, I love all the cuts on this. The hard cuts they did. Comic book shading right there. There's a peg hole right there. That's for his sword holster. Like I said, the spine goes down. Looks really cool. This, design down here, I'm not sure what you want to call this. The design is all fully textured in there. And again, the color matches the comic book perfectly. I really, 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 really dig the sculpt on this figure. Here's how he looks with the other head. Again, there's a lot of good sculpt work on the head. I like, the way they did the shield, the visor with the white highlights on it. I think it looks really good. The head was very hard to get on. It was very hard to get in. It's not even 100% on right now. So, hopefully yours is a little easier to do. And I'll put a shot of this in the comic book too. And again, it does match the comic book very well. I definitely like this head. I'm not sure which one I like better. I think I like the red visor better because it gives it a little bit more of a sleek look to it. Like, it looks really cool. And I even like these antennas. And like I showed with his other head earlier, this is just a prop. This isn't actually a head to put on here. It's not a battle damaged head. This is a specific scene in the comic book. The last Ronin beat up some Synjas that were following him to defend himself, and that's when, like I said earlier, they found the scene where, hey, there's organic matter deep down inside, and on the ground, right? It does, it does articulate. the head and the neck do, there is some articulation there, so you can turn the head around, I guess, on the ground. And actually, I lied, believe it or not. You could actually take this head off the neck, the cut off neck here. It's just a ball joint there, so you could actually take it off and put it on the body if this is the style you want to go for on the shelf. So you could use this on the body, technically, for sure. And, it looks good. Sculpt work looks good. You can see the scary, creepy eyeball in there. It's got some battle damage on this side, too. And the first weapon he comes with is actually a small handgun. He does have that holster on his hip. So, it is, the future. So you don't just use swords in the future. So you gotta have a gun too. I feel like a broken record from my G.I. Joe videos because everyone has a handgun. Well, in the Synja patrol bot world, the last Ronin world, the Synja patrol bots need a handgun too. So they got one. Put it in the holster. Just like that. Stays in there. Good. Looking pretty ballin'. Painted types come with a sword, a katana. Obviously, they are Synjas, synthetic ninjas. So, they use the sword mainly in the comic book to fight. And so, again, like NECA does, it's very hard plastic, which I love. It's not bent right out of the package. Look how straight that blade is. So the blade is a nice silver to it. The sculpt work on the handle is really intricate. So the sculpt work on the handle is great, and it's got a two-tone color to it. So a lighter gray and then like a brownish gray for the handle and the guard up there. And like I said, you know, nice hard plastic. I love it. He does come with this holder too, which fits the aesthetic of the figure perfectly in the comic book. It's nice and slick. There's no, you know, it's just got this sort of, you know, black circle right there. But, you know, this once the sword goes in it and the peg, you know, this peg hole is the peg hole on his back right there. Let's get it on there and see what it looks like. Right, like that. That again looks very cool, and it fits the figure like perfectly. The aesthetic of the comic book, it matches everything, you know, sort of perfectly. I'll have to look and see if it really goes straight up and down or around like that. I don't know. I don't know how it was in the comic book exactly, but I'll find out. I mean, he does come with one of these adorable things, and honestly, I wish he came with more of these. This is one of the future mousers. So they fly. They're not like your typical mousers. In the comic book, in the last Ronin comic book, the mousers went through two versions, I think. There was one based in the flashbacks that looked different than this. And these are the kind that were present when, you know, the last Ronin went to, you know, the headquarters. And I don't want to spoil too much. Went to the headquarters, you know, to try to shut down the Mouser army, to try to defeat Baxter Stockman, who was still alive with the help of Fugitoid, by the way. And these were obviously there to defend it. So, you know, they self-destruct, they eat through things, they fly through the air. Honestly, I love the sculpt work of this, especially, you know, it's got a lot of nice line work on it with, you know, the black shading and everything. I really like that. There's the little thruster because it could fly. I love the look on his face, like the red eyes. I love this, I love this, I love this. I wish it came with more, because in the comic book, obviously in the scenes that it's in, you know, there's like 100 of these flying through the air. So give us more. Give us a 10-pack, NECA. Come on. Come on. But it's pretty cool. And it does come with hands. So there's two punching hands, a right and a left, and there's two, you know, holding hands. So these are going to be the sword holding hands. The hands that he comes with are just sort of just generic open hands. So he can't hold the sword in those. So these are the weapon holding hands. And these are the punch you in the face hands. So honestly, the Synja Patrolbot is pretty light on accessories, I would say. I think he maybe does need a couple more accessories, because he is a pretty small figure too. He's very slender in the box. Like, obviously, I'll do a shot where I compare him to, you know, the last Ronin or whatever. However, having said that, the quality of the figure is 10 out of 10. The design of the figure is 10 out of 10. Design of the character from the comic book obviously is 10 out of 10 too. Like this fits the aesthetic of a futuristic cyborg synthetic foot soldier to me, like, amazingly. Like, this is definitely, I don't know, if I ever find more, this is one of the few figures that I might want a couple of. This is pretty awesome. I actually can't wait to see the white one. I know the white one is probably just obviously a repaint, but I love the design of this figure, like, quite a lot. Like, I wasn't sure if I'd like it as much as I do, like, in the package, out of the package. This thing, I love the look of this thing, the aesthetic. I love it, I love it, I love it. Hello, I have a late addition to the video. I didn't even notice this in the package. This is taped to the bottom of the package, and what this is, it looks like it's two stickers, and what I believe this is like shoulder stickers or something like that, so you can signify the rank of the Synja Patrol Bot. So again, don't miss this in the package. It's in the very bottom. It's taped to the very bottom of the box. It's very easy to miss. Right, this is the Synja Patrol Bot compared to, obviously, the last Ronin. Identity secret still. So he's definitely a little taller than I thought, just in my hands, because the last Ronin is about 6 3/4. He's about 6, to the antennas is about 6.5. So about a little under 6.5 inches for him. And putting him obviously side by side with brother Ronin here, he honestly matches the aesthetic of the comic book. I thought he looked a little small originally, but no, I think it looks just right in comparison. And even more important at the side, I think the aesthetic looks very similar too. You know, the last Ronin does have a little bit more, paintwork, a little bit more texture, but the Synja patrol bots were very plain in the comic books. They're very robotic, they're very clean. None of them are very dirty. So it does match the aesthetic of the comic book, even though it does definitely look a little different, I think, than the last Ronin himself. Alright, so that's what I have today for the Synja Patrol Bot. I love the figure. I love the articulation. I love the sculpt work. I think the paint job is fantastic. Very light on accessories. But I do think the coolness of the figure sure makes up for that, in my mind at least. This is probably one of my favorite figures in my display, just because I love the aesthetics. It almost looks like, an android, like Snake Eyes or something like that. It's so cool. I want to get more of them, even though I don't have the budget for it. Maybe if I see another one on the shelf, maybe I could talk myself into getting another one, or 2, or 3. But I really think they did an amazing job, again, matching the comic book likeness as hopefully you've seen through this video. So it's a ballin' figure. I definitely like it. And I mean, NECA with the turtle lines going on right now is just batting 1,000 to me. Like, the joy is never ending. NECA does such an amazing job with these figures, and I know I sound like a NECA fanboy, but it is what it is. So the figure is awesome. Synja Patrol Bot, I dig it. Guys, gals, non-binary pals, thanks for tuning in to another episode. But I appreciate all the support, and thank you. Peace out.